Welcome one and all to the Bespoke podcast. We haven't been on in a while, mostly due to scheduling conflicts.
Yep, lots of scheduling conflicts going on.
Yep, but we're back, and we're talking about a show that is several months old.
Yep, Bespoke podcast coming at you with the most relevant news, the most breaking news that you could ever know. It's, we like to keep relevant here, and that's why we're covering Infinity Train, a show that piloted in 2016.
Well, it piloted in 2016, and I actually watched the pilot back then.
Really?
Oh man, this looks so cool. And then, several years with absolutely no news about it.
Yeah.
And then, Cartoon Network's like, hey, the show's coming out in a month, and it's like, whoa. Oh. But that was a few months ago now.
Yep.
You know what? We got the Steven Universe movie podcast out somewhat on time. So.
Yeah, you know what? So we'll take a mulligan on this one.
You win some, you lose some. But this is Infinity Train, and you know what? I was way into this show. I liked it a lot. I'm going to say, the easiest comparison, obviously, is Over the Garden Wall, because...
Yes, same format.
Similar format, just 10 episodes. And although... apparently, they have plans to make more of this show.
There's gonna be another season,
I guess.
Huh.
It might be like an anthology sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is I'm thinking it's probably just gonna be some other character who finds the train.
That's probably.
I don't think they're gonna bring back.
Yeah, I would be surprised.
That'd be a little bit. That'd be a little bit weird.
That would be interesting.
I mean, I guess they could do it, but
because I like Tulip.
But, yeah, I mean, she's nice, but it would kind of they had a whole character arc going on, so they'd have to come up with a new thing.
I guess that's the most interesting about this show is that it is 10 episodes long, and it probably could be even shorter than that, but yeah. I'm honestly just happy that it didn't stretch, because just with the premise of this show alone,
oh yeah,
for those, obviously I'm assuming you've watched Infinity Train if you're listening to this. But just the premise is, there's a train that goes on forever with a different thing in every train car, yep. and what can be in the train car can be literally anything.
Yeah, every train car has magic, space distortion where the inside is much bigger than the outside.
But this is clearly the premise of a show that could go on forever and never ever.
This is clearly the premise of a show that watched that one episode of Adventure Time and said, we need to make a whole show about this.
Yeah, the Dungeon Train.
The Dungeon Train.
But yeah, literally, I'm thinking, so this looks like it could be the show that just never ends. But they didn't do that. Yeah. They didn't go that route. They didn't go the wacky new adventure in every car.
Yeah, thank goodness, because they could have made 1 million episodes of this show where every episode is one train car, and they have to really boring. And there's a villain of each train car that they have to defeat or something.
Get really old, really fast.
Really, really old, really, really fast. Thank goodness.
Instead, they had a character. We went on a journey with that character, and then it was over. And that was it deserves props for that.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Right, so let's get into it, shall we?
Yeah, let's get right into it.
Let's get into our impressions of this show.
So, you want to start? Go ahead.
Yeah, sure thing. So, overall, I would say that this show is pretty good. The whole 10 episode, I haven't actually watched the pilot, so...
Right.
Completely fresh going into this.
You know the Corgi car episode?
Yes.
That is the pilot.
Ah, okay.
So, there you go.
Cool. Well, I think that's... Honestly, I think it's a little bit better to watch the regular show before watching the pilot, because watching the pilot might give you weird expectations about what the show is supposed to be. It's not necessarily bad to watch the pilot before.
Yeah.
I mean, it did come out 3 years before the actual show did, but I think if you get the chance, I would watch.
I'd agree. If you haven't watched any of this show, then go ahead and just watch the show. You can skip the pilot, because it's just one of the episodes.
And then, hey, if you like the show really a lot, you can go back and watch the pilot, and it's still there.
Yeah,
and it's a little bit different, and I just, you don't want to have expectations that are not fulfilled,
right?
Even though, They weren't actually. It was a pilot.
A lot of people are still upset over the Steven Universe pilot. A lot of people really like the Steven Universe pilot art style. And it's pretty cool.
It is a good art style.
But I can see why they couldn't do that art style for a whole show. It's too much.
It's not sustainable.
It's too complicated. It's too good. They can't do a show. But anyway, moving on. We're not talking about...
Right, yeah. We're not talking about Steven Universe as we do every single day of our lives. We're talking about Infinity Train. And I like I said, I think it's pretty good. I think it's held back by some pretty major problems though that I think hold it back from reaching the over the garden wall level, as you said. And it's certainly not a disaster by any means. It's not a Star versus the Forces of Evil situation where it was just never good ever. Especially. Yeah. It's certainly nothing like that where there are characters that are good and that I like, but it's just that. So let me get into some specifics here.
There are some I can agree with. So I'm gonna just real quick my general impression before you dive into specifics. I like the show. I think I like the show a lot more than you because I think we've already established that I'm a bit more forgiving of certain things than you are.
There are certain elements that you are more forgiving of.
Yeah, but I do definitely agree. There are some moments where the characters just needed to be quiet. They didn't need to do anything else. They could have just zip, shut up. You don't need to say anything right here. This is fine. Don't. But sometimes they just sort of talk for reasons they shouldn't. And it needed to be tightened up a little bit in certain places.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'd say you would more say it's like an 8 out of 10 show, and I would say it's probably more like a 6 or a 7.
I don't really have any idea how to put numbers to things, but sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah, just general impressions.
It was pretty.
Yours is,
I liked it more than you did. Yeah,
just keep that in mind. But getting into a little bit more specific. So we got our main character, Tulip.
Yeah.
Who I like too. And I think she is probably the strongest part of the show.
I agree. She sort of her personality starts out like a little rough around the edges.
Definitely, yeah.
Then you sort of get to like her more as the show goes on. And I really like her sort of super ultra pragmatic approach to every problem.
That is nice.
It is it's kind of refreshing to see that in like a main character of a show.
And I mean that was intentional, obviously, because she's a pro, game designer, programmer type person, which the whole.
Did you think they went a little?
I thought they went a little bit overboard with that, a little bit, but they kind of. That was mostly in the early episodes, and they sort of let go of that in the later episodes, where they're not constantly bringing it up.
Yeah, it seems like they did bring it up a few times in the first episode.
I thought they were.
Did we mention that she is a programmer?
Yeah. Did you notice that she's not like the other girls? Yeah, I thought that was a little bit. I mean. That's actually, it's a little bit fair because she is kind of like a not like other girls type of girl. She's the type of girl who would be like, I'm not like other girls. But, that's not depicted as a good thing.
Yeah, so that's like sort of part of her personality is that she thinks she's all that too.
That's one of the character flaws, which is good because we need some of those.
Yeah, we need some of those.
We need some of those for it to not be really, really boring.
But yeah,
also in our central cast, we have One, who is the enigmatic robot who we meet in the first episode.
Or the enigmatic 2 robots.
Oh, yes, the enigmatic sort of split personality 1 and 2 robots at the same time sort of thing, which is very weird. And, I don't know, One's pretty funny, but I do think as he's basically just comic relief the whole time.
He is a lot of comic relief.
He doesn't really have a character.
He's pretty. I mean, I can see what you mean when because he's just got the happy one and the sad. I think that's literally their names, glad one and sad one.
Yeah.
In the credits or something.
In the credits.
Glad one and sad one.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, he is funny.
He is pretty funny.
I did laugh at some of his jokes. They were good.
Pretty good.
But I just don't think. For basically the secondary central character there. He's the character we see the most of other than Tulip.
Yeah.
And I think we get that one episode where he goes crazy a little bit, but then he just snaps back.
That was a really good episode.
Yeah.
Because I liked sort of slightly more serious 1-1.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite episodes because it was like 1-1 actually like doing something other than just, pissing about, making jokes.
That was pretty much all he did throughout the entire thing was make little jokes the entire time. Just be like,
and then the last episode, obviously.
Yeah.
But, so 1-1 mixed bag there. And then finally, the third member of our central cast, we have the king himself.
Atticus of Corginia.
Atticus of Corginia.
I like his voice acting.
Oh, yeah.
It's really good.
Acting. Voice acting is really good in this show.
Yeah.
All around.
All around.
Enjoyed every one of the performances, especially Atticus.
Atticus is pretty great.
Always bringing a note of regal authority to all of his scenes, despite being a corgi.
Yep.
And
what'd you think of Atticus?
I liked Atticus. He was good.
Yeah. I think he was.
He wasn't like super deep or anything, but he was
the right blend of sort of kind of funny, making jokes, and also a little bit serious. Yeah. Whereas, 1-1 was a little bit too much on the comic relief side,
especially considering how important 1-1 turns out to be.
I mean, yeah, it's just the thing is 1-1 is like on the comic relief side all the time, and never like turns, even like in sort of pseudo sad moments, he's still sort of being a little goofy.
Yeah,
and that's the sort of weird thing about him.
And it's not necessarily like uncalled for, I guess, because the point of that is to be like a misdirect, like, oh, he's just this wacky robot, no way he can be bored. But that is very much undermined by the fact that he's introduced in the first episode in a complete mystery. So I mean, it's like, what is he just going to turn out to be some random robot?
We all know he's important.
He's obviously incredibly important to the show. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in every episode.
Yeah, I mean,
like, so. Yeah, that's a little bit weird. But, Atticus, he's just some corgi.
Yeah, he's just some corgi who's along for the adventure, and I kind of like that.
There's a lot less,
expectation.
Expectation, exactly. Like, with 1-1, you instantly are like, come on, what is he going to do?
He's going to do something. And, like, in that one episode, what was it called?
Which one?
The one where he sort of goes nuts.
The turtle one.
Yeah, the broken car or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
I can't remember the episode names.
Me neither.
Because I just remember the whole thing as one big show.
Exactly.
It's hard to remember the individual episode names.
They could actually probably like splice this together. Excuse me. They could probably splice this together into a pretty good movie, honestly.
Easily. But yeah, other than that one episode where like he's like goes a little nuts.
Yeah.
Which I like that episode a lot because of that. Because it's like the one episode where he's not like constantly being a goofball. A literal goofball.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed that it was sort of like a switch being flipped on him. Like it was sort of like as soon as they get out of the car, he switches back to his normal mode.
Yeah, he's fine.
But I would have liked it better if it was a little bit more natural. Like he was just like, maybe he was still acting goofy, but also trying to like fix stuff. Like, he was just like, like that. Maybe. Because then it would be sort of like, it wouldn't be such like a hard divide between his serious and goofy moments, if you know what I mean.
When we're talking about the goofy moments, we're even like talking about both like the happy one and the sad one. Exactly. Even the sad one is just goofy comic relief, just of a different style.
Yeah. It's intention.
Yeah.
Yeah, as in intentionally morbid.
Yeah, So for people who are thinking, oh no, he was sad sometimes, it's like, no, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the general tone, not like...
We're not talking about like lol nihilism. Like maybe I should just end it all. Like that's a joke. That's not real seriousness.
Let's start writing his obituary.
But yeah, so then we got our central cast here, and they're going through these dungeons, or as they are known here, train cars.
Yes, indeed.
And each train car is completely unique, and also magical, and we're on this infinity train, and sorry, I was going somewhere with this, but it was sort of like I was trying to get to the point where. I do like how we are immediately, as soon as we get on the train, we're immediately introduced to, like, somebody getting, like, warped off the train.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was pretty good. I liked how that was just the start, and there's no explanation given for it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of what I was getting to before. I like how there's no explanation for the Infinity Train. I like how they don't try to, like, come up with a big origin story for this Infinity Train.
This one guy, he built a train.
Oh, yeah.
No, none of that.
She's already been, like, warped to like a different dimension or something. It's like we can just assume that she like fell into a wormhole or
Oh,
something.
and here's just one thing that was cool about the first episode. I really liked how they immediately set up a pretty good sense of danger in that first. Because, like, I don't know, maybe it was just me, but when she like got off the train and ran off and got attacked by the weird bug things, it's like, oh my god, she's gonna die.
Yeah, the weird bug.
This girl is gonna die.
The weird bug monsters, were a good touch when she like immediately gets off the train, and then it was a good explanation for why she doesn't just jump off the train. Other than the fact that it's just like millions of miles of barren wasteland around her, presumably infinite. Has to go with the name. But
well, where would the train go?
Yeah,
if it wasn't infinite.
Exactly. It's just a big circle. But
anyway.
Yeah, I like the bug monsters. Let's see here. And they just go through the trains, and it's all basically about Tulip coming to grips with the fact that her parents are divorced.
Yeah. And I guess that is sort of what the train is for in a weird. It's like, oh, it's a giant therapy machine.
Yeah, as it turns out, the train is sort of like
in its own way.
Yeah, the train is sort of like some sort of weird.
Yeah, the show doesn't really invite you to think on that particular aspect too much. It's just
you're not supposed.
It's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. You're supposed to bring in the presupposition that yes, this infinity train exists.
Yeah.
We're not like
we're not worried about that.
You're not supposed to like watch Adventure Time and be like, excuse me, Gum can't actually talk.
Anyway,
yeah, like that kind of thing. So it turns out, I like the number on the hand thing.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. I like how it's like mysterious, and how Tulip's relationship with the number on her hand changes over the course of the series.
Yeah.
Like at first she's like obsessing over it, then she tries to hide it, and then eventually she just sort of is like, well, whatever. The number will do what the number does.
The number will do what the number does. Yeah, I see. There's a lot of cool aspects of this show that are just in there. And, if we're going to talk about it just real quick, is the art is pretty good in this show.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I love the background art. It doesn't always mesh with, like, there are certain scenes where it's like, okay, so someone drew this and it looks really great, and then someone also, like, put a bunch of little dogs all over it.
And then also somebody put some flash puppets on top of this beautiful
that doesn't look quite as good. But,
those are the vast minority of, I think, the art.
It's weird. I don't think, other shows do that, but I don't notice it as much, but only because the background art isn't as good. It's because it's so good that, like, it's really apparent when they've, like, stapled a character design on top of it. And it looks like you went into, like, an art gallery and someone, like, glued some little...
like paper cutouts.
Paper cutout things and stuck them on, like, some of the paintings. And it looks a little funky, but most of the time it looks fine.
A little unfortunate, though.
There are just some little scenes where it's like, those shadows look weird. But yeah. But other than that, for the most part, it's a good looking show.
So, moving on, we have our antagonists of the show. We should probably go over them. So the first antagonist we see is, what was her name? Like the caretaker or something?
She's the, I'm totally blanking on it.
Yeah, let's just keep talking and we'll remember it. Because as soon as you stop trying to remember it, that's when it'll come to you.
I'm really tempted to look it up. But
we'll cut that out. But
definitely.
Point is, we got our main villain, which is Masked Tentacle Lady.
Who
shows up in the Corgi episode.
Yeah, and is real spooky looking.
Yeah,
it is just this giant tentacle thing.
It is, yeah. It's a really nice, I think it's a really cool design.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know how I feel about how she's got, like, cannons coming out of her eyes.
Yeah,
I feel like she was scary enough with just the tentacles.
Yeah, I don't think she needed the guns.
I don't really need... The guns kind of look silly coming out of her eyes.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Other than that, very fun character. Like, she's got a million limbs. She can just kill you.
And she looks spooky.
And while it is a good design, and I do like that, I think one of the biggest problems with the show is the villains.
Really?
They really do not come off as very threatening. Because they continually fail to really delay or, obstruct our heroes in really any way. They kind of just completely fail in all of their missions at every point. Which, isn't such a problem at the beginning. But as the show goes on, it's just like they try to get him again and they fail. They just run away. Try to get him again, they fail.
Do How often do they do that, really, though?
Well, it happens, I think, what comes to mind are, like, the 3 major times that it happens. Is the first time in the Corgis, where, you know...
Well, you know, that was different because they were just sort of there. Like,
right.
it wasn't like, oh, they're after him to get him at that point. At that point...
Maybe.
Dang it. I literally almost said it, but then, like, I lost it again, the name. But anyway... But the tentacle monster is just there, and like not like there to get them. It's just doing its own thing.
I guess.
At that point, I think it's different from the other times.
Maybe, but it's like
it's not
even when like the corgi, even when Atticus is like attacking her, she just sort of like,
well, you know, just swats him away.
swats him away, and then does nothing.
Oh yeah, I remember now. It's like because like he's coming and going to do the thing and going to murder Tulip.
Right.
But then 1-1 sort of comes out and does his little thing.
It's the 1-1 thing.
And then, like, I guess she sees that and then takes off.
Yeah. Once again, a little bit playing their hand out too much with the 1-1 thing. With, like, she just, like, looks at 1-1 and is like, oh.
Gotta get out of here.
And it's just like, but yeah, okay, maybe... That wasn't as... But then there's also, like, the thing with the cat, right? Who's,
oh, yeah, the cat.
So they, you know, the cat tries to capture them, too. And it seems like they're not really trying that hard to stop this advancement. Because they're, like, relying on this cat.
Yeah.
When it's just, like... You could just, you know where they are. Like, you can just follow them, right?
Yeah.
Like,
all right.
There's nowhere they could hide.
I think I do want to talk about that episode, too, with the cat.
Okay.
Because that's, like, both one of the best and worst episodes.
Yeah.
For different reasons. But, like...
Well, first let's introduce, like, the cat comes in at, what is it,
like episode 2, yeah.
Yeah, episode 2, who is, and...
tries to kidnap 1-1.
Which is, you know, a little bit weird, because, which is a little bit misleading, because, you know, Tulip did make a deal with her, you know, that she got 1-1.
I guess so.
Sure, it was under a little bit of false pretenses, because the cat probably knew that 1-1 was more important than Tulip did.
Yeah,
so it was a little bit of unbalanced information there, but Tulip did make a deal. I think the cat was given a little bit of a. I think Tulip was a little bit unfair to the cat when she did say, "Yeah, take 1-1."
I mean, she did say she was going to go up and ask the conductor for help, which wasn't.
Well, when you think about it, 1-1 was the conductor.
True. Well, I think at that point, she was talking about.
Of course.
What's her name? I also can't remember.
Yeah, her name. I don't remember. Emilia.
Emilia, yeah. She was at that point. She was talking about Emilia, and I don't think I get the feeling she was just gonna leave her there. Yeah,
she probably was, but at least from Tulip's perspective, the cat was just holding up her end of the deal. Like
maybe.
I think that was. I think it was a little bit unfair for Tulip to be like so mad at the cat when they next.
But after the next episode,
okay,
where the cat shows up, then I guess that makes more sense.
Then it makes a lot more sense that she doesn't trust the cat. I wish that had happened in a different order.
I can see that, yeah.
But so we get to the cat comes in, attempts to, you know, kidnap, or more like buy 1-1.
Yeah.
And then you know, the cat gets away. But we find the cat's car later, and they enter the cat's car, and it's all her stuff. Yeah. But the cat finally does something wrong, when she tricks Tulip into watching a tape filled with her own memories.
Yeah, it's like this weird magical tape.
Yes.
That's associated with the train somehow, I guess.
Well, yeah, it sort of ties in.
Yeah, to make people like really like look. And that's the part that makes it one of the cool episodes. Is like going back through all those memories and seeing how like she like has sort of modified them in her mind to make them better than they were. And that's kind of interesting. But it's also like the time when she really just needed to shut up.
Yeah, it's just like, man, this could be really effective if they didn't explain everything to the audience in like excruciating detail.
Especially just that one scene when like it's like, you know, Tulip is at the table talking with her parents, and other Tulip is also there listening to them talk. Yeah. Other Tulip who's watching the memory should have just not said a word.
Just
because she just kept on talking and explaining how she was feeling, and that was unnecessary. Yeah, it was all right there.
It's like Memory Tulip is like, I don't care, and she's like, but you do care.
Yeah,
it's just it's like, really? You really think so?
Just that scene really burned me up a little bit, just because she didn't need to say anything. No, if she had just watched, that would have been perfect.
It would have been perfect.
But they didn't. For some reason they couldn't do that. They just had her talk and explain it. That was unnecessary.
Yeah, maybe even have her frustratedly put her head in her hands or something. Just
anything to just sort of like explaining the whole thing that we are looking at.
Especially when it's not exactly like complicated stuff here. Like, I mean, I guess this is just a function of it being on Cartoon Network.
Maybe
that kind of thing, but
some executive was like, "Oh, it's a little too confusing for kids. Let's have them explain it."
I mean, I feel like Adventure Time and some other and Over the Garden Wall and stuff got away with not having to explain everything.
That's pretty much the reason why I say this is good, but I like Over the Garden Wall better, is because it's just the little moments like that where it's just like, oh, you were so close.
Yeah.
You were so close.
It's like, it's like at the end of Over the Garden Wall when they're just like, so guys, what about that dream? And they just explain, no, that doesn't happen.
Well, you see, it was an allegory.
Yeah.
Shush.
Yeah, it's just like, man, maybe I should be a better brother or something. And stuff like that. Like maybe I'm misremembering, but I don't feel like that happened in Over the Garden Wall. Yeah, so we've got the cat you've got these tape memories. It's like we said, the sort of VHS tapes that contain your memories are sort of like, it's tied in with the train as a sort of therapy machine, sort of like where it's like a self-discovery thing.
Yeah.
Presumably all the passengers have one.
I guess so. Yeah, that's what she said. The cat said, I think.
Yeah. Does the cat have one, though? Is the cat a passenger?
I think the cat is just a Denny's into the train.
Yeah,
because it's a talking cat.
Exactly. Although it is very unclear what exactly the denizens of the train actually are.
Well, I mean,
Well, that's the thing. It's like, so you got like, it's sort of an interesting concept that I'm very glad that they didn't go into too much detail explaining, because it probably would have sucked. But it's like, all the objects are clearly not real. Like, they're all digital.
Right. They're
like
sort of these
digital
weird
in
orb
quotes.
things.
Yeah, like digital physical constructs that you put the orb in the right place and it pops up. Yeah. But what about the people? Like,
I mean,
there was a corgi ball that she used at the end.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing, because like, you remember the part where like they're in the turtle car, and then later when like in the very last episode, Amelia is like talking about again with the turtles. Like she accidentally made turtles again. Like, so wait, did she create that civilization of turtles?
Exactly.
Of sentient turtle creatures? Did she build that out of nothing? Which I guess no wonder she thinks she can like recreate her old life if this train is so powerful.
Yeah, this train is, I mean, each train car is presumably basically like a blank slate for you to program, if you will, your own game, if you will.
Shut up. Anyway.
So just a real big coincidence right there. But the point it's a very like the things within the construct, both within the train cars, can exit the train cars and exist without the train cars, as we see with Atticus, who just leaves his train car and doesn't care, and also Tulip's reflection, which also leaves.
Reflection.
I think we should talk about that.
That was a cool episode.
That was a cool episode. It raises a lot of philosophical problems, though. I guess we would say, like, do you have a duty? Do you have an ethical duty to your reflection?
Well, you do when they are sentient creatures.
Yeah, so you do when they're a sentient creature, but exactly how do you determine that? Is it just this car that a reflection is sentient? Because the reflection seems to remember all of Tulip's past life.
That's really one of the... See, this show is so... Like we were just talking about, the whole random sentience of creatures. There's a lot of cool details in this show that they don't like go into, but are there. And especially love at the very end of the show, like Tulip's like back home and like leaving with her dad. Like both her and her dad walk past a mirror and Tulip's reflection isn't there.
No, I didn't see that.
I was like, that's so cool.
Interesting. So is Tulip just like a vampire now?
Yes.
Huh.
But that's besides the point.
Yeah, that's a little that you kind of take a bite of the forbidden apple there, don't you think? Because like once you're back home, you look at somebody else. For one, you don't have a reflection yourself, which is a little bit inconvenient for you. But now, if you ever see anybody else's reflection, you now see someone who has been imprisoned against their will for all eternity, and there's nothing you can really do about it.
It's just the magic of the train.
Yeah, of course. This is the magic of the train.
Don't worry.
Yeah, it probably brought her reflection to life or whatever, so she could learn a lesson.
Very valuable lesson.
Yeah,
I guess.
Although in that case, it is a little weird that she didn't get a reflection back when she went home. But whatever.
It stays with you.
Exactly. Somehow it'll be an eternal reminder.
Remember that time I was on that really weird train?
Yeah.
Oh, that was so cool.
Remember that time I beat up the mirror cops? That was pretty cool.
The mirror cops. I loved those guys.
Yeah, like reflection enforcement agency.
Oh, those guys were so good. Those were good.
Those were pretty good.
Oh man, there's just lots of cool things I like in this show. I gotta say. Not the least of which is Tulip and her character arc over the course of the thing.
Right. Yes.
She sort of just.
That's sort of the centerpiece of the show.
That's pretty much the main purpose of the show is Tulip and her character arc. You know what was great? How like they had what was the evil lady's name? The bad guy?
Amelia,
yeah. They had Amelia. She didn't like, oh, Amelia has the same exact problem Tulip had. Like, yeah, she also had divorced parents. That would have been lame. Awful. She's got her own problems. And I like that they didn't just go with it's exactly the same sort of thing. Yeah. Because that would have been silly.
It's a little unfortunate that the problem she had was so generic, but, you know.
I mean, I think it worked pretty well.
Yeah, like, they did it pretty well.
But, so like, if they had done it like, oh, look, so wait, is this just the divorced parents train?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, at that point, Amelia might as well just be Tulip from the future. Like,
I'm glad they didn't go that route.
Glad they didn't do that.
Yeah. Let's see. What else? Any other specific examples you want to talk about in the show?
Some things. I'm trying to think of some specific episodes.
I think you got a few more moments that I'd like to bring up.
Yeah, maybe just bring up some moments. It might spark some memories in me.
One of the episodes, I really like the ball pit car episode. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that one was pretty good.
Because this is like, basically Tulip has completed at the end of her character arc before like things go terribly wrong in the next two episodes. And I really like just sort of hanging out with that Tulip because like she's there having fun with everybody else. She's not like freaking out about anything. She's not just like going in hardcore. She's just enjoying herself and everyone's having a good time. Yeah. Which is why when it all comes crumbling down at the end of the episode and like, Atticus gets turned into a monster.
Yeah. That episode is really funny because there's this, when I was watching the episode at least, I don't know if you had this experience, but that episode had a very distinct tension in it.
I know. It was like,
which came from everybody, which came from everything going so well.
I know. And all right, so this is probably something you don't notice unless you've like watched it more than once. But like in the background of that episode, like every now and then, out of like like a little window or something, you see I'm still blanking on that thing's name.
What is it? Caretaker?
No, it's not the caretaker.
Steward. Steward. Yeah.
Every now and then, out the window, you see like the steward like flick by. And it's really quick. You don't even notice it. But part of you does notice it because you've got this sort of tension the whole episode. Just like flies by real fast.
Definitely. Part of that tension is also, it's also sort of compounded by like the bunny guy. Yeah. The bunny guy acts very suspicious throughout the whole episode.
Apparently he's on the level, but he does seem like he's going to turn on him.
Exactly.
But that's not what happens.
Just like some lines of dialogue where he's like, hey, you don't need to go back there, or something like that. Something weird like that. But I mean, it turns out that it's okay, but it adds a lot to the episode where you think this guy is going to turn on you.
That's why.
And it's actually a good twist when he doesn't.
That's why it's so surprising when like suddenly the steward does like tear everything to pieces all of a sudden and just literally destroys everything.
Yep.
Because you're not expecting the danger to come from that direction.
Yep. And also, a very good moment during that episode, I had a very distinct moment before it happened where I was like, wow, they're actually going to kill Atticus.
I know.
It was very interesting.
I thought for a while there, I thought that Atticus was like gone.
Yeah.
Until like they sort of started the next episode, I thought it was like, wow,
Yeah.
they really just did that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god.
And I think it was when Atticus says something like, a dog's got to do what a dog's got to do, or something like that. He didn't actually say that, but he's just like, this is, I gotta protect my people from this monster or something. Right. And I was just like, wow, they're actually gonna kill Atticus. It's not bad. I'm actually, this is actually a good plot twist here. My issue with it is that they don't actually kill Atticus.
Okay, you know what? I'm okay with that though, because
I don't know. I feel like, dang, like
I don't think it would have. What would that would have? I don't think that would have. I don't know.
Well, I think I was. I don't know what I was thinking was gonna happen, but it's just like at the end of the show, Atticus gets turned back.
Yeah.
And then he gets like 2 lines, and then the show is over.
That's true. He does sort of just like, all right, and we're done.
Yeah, it's just like it feels a little bit unsatisfactory to me.
But like I think that's like an important part of the arc, though, is because even after Atticus is turned into this monster, that's like after that, Tulip gets the opportunity to go home, but she chooses not to in order to rescue Atticus, in order to fix things before she leaves.
Yeah, I feel like that is pretty important there.
Yeah. And they couldn't have done that if Atticus just got shot and died.
Yes, but I mean, man, I feel like if Atticus had just like gotten shot and died, if they had if Amelia had just had like a real like Glock in her hand and she just like blown Atticus's brain open, man, would that have been an effective moment in this show?
For a minute there, that is literally what I thought what happened.
Yeah.
When like he picks up Atticus, shoots him, and then he like just he looks like he's dead.
Yeah. I was like, they got that moment pretty much from that shot, except for the fact that they're using a weird laser gun. I don't know.
I bought it. I like the way he like sort of just threw her on the floor and he was dead. It was like, dear God.
Yeah, I was just like, dang.
Killed him.
And then he turns into a monster, so I'm immediately just like, they turn him back.
They're probably gonna turn him back at that point.
And while that was a little disappointing, I don't think it wasn't that bad.
I don't think it was. I think it worked well. I think it might have been a little overkill to kill Atticus.
Maybe, but
they can't kill the dog, man. They can't kill the dog.
Well, that's the thing. Is like the very fact that they can't kill the dog is the very reason why the dog should die. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, that's why it was so surprising when I thought they killed the dog.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was really glad when they didn't kill the dog.
That was pretty good. I mean, on the plus side of this, we do get, the catharsis, I guess, of being like, oh, look at that, the dog's not dead. Thank goodness. We all get to breathe a sigh of relief that our favorite corgi is no longer a weird monster thing. Which also raises this question, what exactly are these monster things?
That's a good question. Like, you can zap things and turn them into the weird monster things.
Yeah, so presumably...
So I guess there's an orb for that.
Yeah, presumably, like, there's an orb for that. So presumably they're train constructs. But what are they doing just running around outside the train?
That's a good question. Maybe they were based off the orbs were based off the monsters in the trainiverse.
In the trainiverse. Or perhaps because it is an infinite train, perhaps, one of these cars is just overflowing with these things and it's just dumping them out. That could also presumably be it. But yeah, I think it's time to move on to our main villain here.
Oh yeah, Amelia.
The conductor.
Yeah.
Amelia. So our main villain is Amelia, who is a lady who was once a passenger on the train, much like Tulip, but who overthrew the conductor of the train in order to fulfill her wish of reconstructing her dead husband. Yeah.
And I do like I did say earlier, like it's great that they don't have the exact same problem. Yeah. But it is neat how they are sort of similar in sort of their problem solving way, like, because they both want to solve this train.
Yes.
Is what they were doing. And Amelia took that too far. She went beyond.
Exactly. Well, yeah, it's sort of like they came to like the different conclusions here.
Yeah.
Whereas, Amelia decided that, I'm just gonna, run from my problems and live in the past and just pretend like none of the bad stuff ever happened. Amelia comes to the conclusion that, well, the bad stuff did happen and we need to move past it, so her number goes down.
Yeah.
And then Amelia's number can go up at this point.
Yeah, she's like gone. She's gone so crazy.
She's just gone so crazy. But and we get this flashback through these VHS tapes of Amelia.
Some diegetic flashbacks.
Oh yeah,
those are handy.
Flashbacks, very handy. It allows for the characters to stand around and comment on the flashbacks as they happen.
I mean, it's better than like a long sequence where Amelia's like, "You don't know what happened to me," and then it does a flashback with her like narrating everything that happened to her.
And then at the end, she's like, "And that's what happened to me."
That's what happened. But instead, they have this sort of voyeuristic looking at someone else's life, which is kind of weird and creepy, but pretty cool at the same time.
But I mean, hey, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
I mean, you sort of run out of options when they're attempting to murder you.
Yep.
But I was very disappointed that the whole flashback thing turned out to be pointless, because if you remember the framing of it, the cat is like, maybe we can find a way to turn Atticus back if we look at her memories. And it turns out, no, can't. That's not actually how it's done.
Remember that.
The cat could have just told her to use the orb.
Yeah, she could have just said that. She's just, oh, look, this weapon thing, you can use that.
Yeah,
like,
and then
she could have just said that. Cat.
Yeah, and then at the end, she's just like, and then at the end, when Tulip asks her, why didn't you just tell me that? She says, where's your sense of showmanship? And I'm just like, okay, look.
Thanks, Show.
Look, pal.
Look, Show, I know you needed to do this.
Yeah.
But why couldn't they just have Tulip figure it out?
Exactly.
Instead, like, looking at the train and like, oh, hey, I can use one of those to turn him back.
This could, or it could have, they could have even done the flashback thing. They could have even been like, Tulip being like, hey, Tulip could have been like, found the tape herself.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, the cat shows her the tape, and then Tulip, watching the tape, figures it out that she can use the thing. That would have worked. That would have worked better than the cat, like, showing her the tape and then just telling her the answer.
Exactly. Like, the cat shouldn't have known the answer, so to make the tape worth anything.
Yeah, it would have been fun. That was a little goofy.
Yeah.
But, it worked. It was fine.
Whatever.
It's one of those things that, like, in retrospect, you're like, wait, why did you do that? But yeah, I do, and I like the way that Tulip sort of basically like, all right, if she can like take over the train, then I can sort of do my own. Then I can also just sort of manipulate the train to my own ends, and that's what she does to get to the front. It's like, all right.
Yeah, but like I said at the beginning, I think the villain is probably the weakest aspect of the show in all. And there are a couple of reasons for that. For one, it's man, is she just like really boring? Like, man,
she's
like,
not super interesting.
She just has one character trait, which is just that
dead husband. I'm very sad. Yep. And it's just and like, also I'm really smart.
Oh yeah, really smart too.
I can build robots.
Also, I'm not like other girls, and I can program a computer. But yeah, like she gets, I guess, two character traits then. She gets dead husband and also a similarity to our main character in that she can program stuff, I guess.
And build robots.
Yeah, but it's just like we get all of those flashbacks of like those different like parts of her life, but in those like little flashbacks we don't really get any insight into her character.
It's not those it's weird because the flashbacks really aren't about her. They're about her trauma specifically.
Yeah, exactly. Like, honest, and maybe this was an intentional misdirect, but if you just watch the flashbacks, you could be very easily convinced that like the main villain is like her husband.
I mean, yeah, that's what the idea.
Is that the intentional misdirect?
That was intentional.
I would need to rewatch to see if that was intentional, but
because like she's thinking it's the other guy, like Tulip thinks it's the guy until it's revealed that it's her.
Oh, okay.
Because it's the guy that does like the distorted voice, so she thinks it's him.
Okay.
But then he realized it was her all along.
Okay, so that was intentional.
I mean,
so
because of how defined this character is, it could have been either of them, and it wouldn't have made much of a difference.
Oh,
but that's just the weird thing about it, is because it's not really about her; it's about Tulips.
Exactly. So
they sort of skimp on her little character development.
That's reason number one. Reason number two is, man, this main villain of ours, she wears a very silly robot suit. Like, very, very, very silly robot suit. For no reason.
It's a cool robot.
I mean, that's debatable.
I mean, honestly. It looks cooler with the cloak.
Yeah. But there's really no reason why she's wearing this robot suit at all. It seems like a clunky... a clunky distraction, a burden almost. Like what functionality does this robot suit serve other than obscuring the identity of her main villain?
Yeah, that's super super goofy and it's only for that purpose.
Yeah,
and
it's very Cartoon Network TV.
When you actually start to think about it, it makes less and less sense because did you have to build a keyboard that's big enough for these giant metal hands to use, because she's on a computer at the end and using it, and if you got out of the robot, would you even be able to use that keyboard? Because
you just have to use your entire fists to hit the keys.
So you just have little weird things what I mean, it's not like you needed to build the robot.
No.
She's been on there for a long time. It's you know what, I could really use a cool robot body.
A cool robot body.
And while I try to rebuild this train car that's going to bring my life back.
Yeah, so theoretically she's just on the Infinity Train, so she's immortal or something. She immortal?
I guess so.
Well, I mean, it's sort of unclear how long she's been there.
True.
What was the time period that she got trapped in exactly?
I don't know, but
wasn't it old timey?
It wasn't old
yeah,
timey,
it wasn't medieval ages or anything, but it was more early 1900s, right?
Something. Well,
whereas Tulip's reality is obviously 2010s. I think, a
little earlier than that, I think,
or 2000s, I guess.
Yeah.
For 2000s to 2010s to we'll still even give it late 90s or something. But it seemed that Amelia came more from the 1950s or something.
Yeah, something that's one of the details that I like is it shows in the flashbacks it shows her using her little whistle to control you can use this whistle to control the phone lines.
Yeah.
And that's how she takes over the train.
Yeah.
And manipulates the steward. That was pretty neat.
Yeah.
Just a neat little detail they threw in there.
Does that actually work?
I mean,
I've never. I mean, yeah. Did it ever used to work?
I've heard it was a real thing.
I mean,
obviously, cartoons would never lie to me. So it must have worked at some point.
Excuse my horrific millennialness here of not knowing how payphones work, but man, that seems a little bit of an obvious flaw there.
I mean,
but hey, there was a lot of obvious flaws in those days. So. So what we're saying, really, really silly robot body.
Really silly robot suit. That seemed unnecessary unless you needed to beat up and torment a child, I guess.
Yeah. And it's if the robot design was a lot cooler, I could have forgiven it. But
if they had made it so she was really, really, really old looking.
Yes. And then I was almost about
And then she needs the robot to get around because she's an ancient mummy.
Yes. Imagine if she was literally Darth Vader. This is her life support machine as well as her transportation is something.
That could have worked.
That would have been
But she doesn't
awesome.
look like she needs it.
But no, she immediately is just but she just she can take it off basically like Iron Man.
Well, no.
Well, I guess
it just
that's
gets
also
blown up.
Yeah, it just gets blown up. But it's just it's just sort of like a metal suit.
Yeah. She doesn't really need it for anything, it doesn't seem like.
Yeah, she doesn't need it for anything except looking intimidating. Yeah. And she doesn't really look that intimidating because it's a really silly robot costume.
She does when she first appears, when you don't even see any of the robot, you just see the red line.
Exactly.
That was pretty cool. But after after she takes off the cloak, it does look a little goofy. Mm. But at that point, I was kind of invested in the epic battle that was going on.
Yeah, of course. Whatever.
So, maybe in retrospect it was...
What else didn't... I thought there was a third point to why I didn't like the main villain here. So our main villain's motivation is to get her husband back, basically. To make a train that could
to make a car.
Train car that could, replace her old life.
Yeah.
And I guess she just can't do it. I guess she's just a really bad programmer.
And, it seems pretty hard.
Yeah, it seems pretty hard. But I think, okay, here we go. My problem is that there's not anything like fundamentally misguided about it, because there's nothing in the show that implies that like it would be impossible to recreate her her old life.
I think it's just a bad idea.
Yeah, it's certainly a bad idea, but theoretically, if she was better at it, the trains can do anything. So theoretically, she could recreate her own life. If she was but
that's like the definition of not moving on, which is apparently what the train is for.
Yeah, so like maybe the train is preventing it because that's what it does and that's what it wants to do. Because it is a train; it's always moving forward, right?
Exactly.
But because as it turns out at the end, there's like two entities to the train. There's the conductor and then the train itself.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit weird.
Well, the train is controlled by the conductor.
Right, yeah, but the conductor refers to the train as mother.
Yeah, so, I guess it's just 1-1 being weird.
Yeah. I thought it was implied that the train itself had some sort of like intelligence other than the 1-1.
It didn't seem like it.
I don't know, maybe I was just imagining it. But
it just seems like you could control the train with...
It would make
1-1 can control it, and also the Amelia was able to like plug in and sort of control it.
Yeah, okay, maybe that was it. But so it's sort of implying that maybe she just get better at programming, I guess.
But even if I think the idea is even if you can't it's more of not like a literal but like a sort of philosophical problem.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you can't recreate your old, you can't get back what was lost. You just have to deal with it and move on.
Yeah, so I guess my point would be that I feel like it would be more thematically resonant if there was like a more tangible reason why it was impossible.
Well, maybe maybe it wasn't impossible. Maybe maybe given enough time, she could have made a car, but that wouldn't have really helped.
Well, I'm coming at this from the perspective of like, if I could live in a simulation that is 100% like accurate to reality, and that I couldn't tell the difference between it from reality, and it was also perfect, like obviously I would just live in the simulation even though it's fake. And maybe that's of course not the perspective everyone would have. Maybe some people prefer reality, like the harsh reality, over a fake utopia, but that's just from my perspective. Is just like, well, if she could make if she could make a simulation of her life that's better than her real life, go ahead and do it. That's not my problem.
I don't know.
That's my if the train itself, the mother, if it were, had some sort of thing maybe it was an intelligence which was like, no, we can't let you wallow in your past, so we'll mess up all of your attempts to do it, put turtles in there or whatever.
Put turtles in there.
Then I think that would be a little bit more.
Put turtles in your past.
That would be a little bit more thematically resonant for me personally.
I don't know. I think it was fine. It is kind of, you do have to we are just sort of accepting the weirdness of a magical therapy train.
Right. Sure.
But apparently this therapy train could also just accidentally kill you because some of these cars are dangerous.
That's true. It was never...
So,
Maybe, but if you die on the train, do you die in real life? That's the big question.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know.
We don't get any answers for these things. The only three passengers we see is the one who gets evaporated at the beginning.
Right.
Who Tulip assumes is dead, but obviously is not.
Yeah. Also,
and then Amelia and Tulip.
Also, we don't see them, but on Amelia's sort of computer screen, you see pictures of people with their numbers and stuff.
Oh,
as she's scrolling through and she finds Tulip's picture and number. It's like, oh, I could do whatever.
Yeah, are those so I guess passengers?
I guess those are other passengers that are also I guess they might never interact with.
Yeah, of course,
because it's an infinity train.
It's an infinity train, of course.
Which is what makes me think there's going to be in the sequel, it's probably going to be just another person who finds the train, I guess, if they do a sequel.
Yeah, it's sort of man, what do they even do with that person? Because they can have whatever, personal trauma that they want, obviously, that gets them on the train. But I mean, Tulip has that and also the conductor subplot, right? Yeah. So I mean, like, how do you raise the stakes from like the literal conductor of the train has been deposed and needs to be reinstated? Yeah. I'd be interested in like what else they're gonna do besides the trauma.
Which the funny thing was, we didn't even know that was like the case until we didn't know that was the case. Till the very end. So I don't know. Yeah. Would it just? It doesn't seem like they'd be able to do like just like a normal person on the train, because that would be like.
Yeah, it would definitely not be a normal person. It would just be some dude, I guess.
Some person. I mean, Tulip's best friend at the very beginning had a very like particular design that like literally only appeared once. So it'd be surprising if she never does anything. So maybe she goes on the train next.
I suppose in a completely different direction, we could just go back to Tulip, I guess.
Yeah,
and,
we
like,
could,
maybe
like,
Tulip has
another trauma and has to go back to the train.
Well, yeah, I don't know about that. Maybe more like unfinished business.
Here's an idea. What if Tulip's friend is going through some stuff, and so Tulip gets her onto the train?
Maybe Tulip like follows somebody onto the train or something.
Maybe. And then
it's really open-ended here. Mostly because the ending of the show is kind of final.
Yeah, it is an ending. It is the end of the show.
So you can kind of go anywhere from there.
Like Over the Garden Wall. It's over now. I'm not sure.
I mean, thank goodness they're not trying to sequelize Over the Garden Wall. Jeez Louise.
Don't do it. Did you hear about the new Adventure Time sequels they're doing? Oh yeah, I think I told you about those.
Yeah, maybe.
But anyway.
Well, I mean, whatever.
That's besides the point.
That's besides the point.
Yeah, you know what? Final thoughts, I guess. Yeah, I like this show quite a bit. Like we mentioned, it has some weird little problems that I feel like. That's the thing. I feel like if they just, it could be. It was only 10 episodes, but it almost could have been a little bit shorter, maybe.
Yeah, I could see it as like 7 or 8 episodes.
Not even that. Like, it could have been shorter in some places and longer in others. They could have like, you know how episode 2 was all about sort of becoming friends with 1-1 and like becoming like inseparable, basically.
Of course, yeah.
But like, I think instead of like shoving that all into one episode, if they had like, I don't know. See, that's the thing. I'm trying to think if they could like take out another episode, but it doesn't seem like they could.
They could take out like. They could definitely take out the one episode where they.
I don't think they could take out any. I think I'd want them to redo episode 2, try again, make it better.
Yeah, that could be.
I want to rewrite on that one.
That was actually I actually meant to bring this up. I actually meant to bring that up, but I completely forgot. I guess because it was at the beginning of the show, and I totally forgot about it by the end. But it was like, Tulip gets attached to 1-1 really quickly. Like she meets him in episode 1, and by episode 2, she is like all ready to like go on a mission to save 1-1, even though 1-1 is a robot who she finds somewhat annoying and who doesn't actually seem to have doesn't like display that much attachment to Tulip, really.
Not real. I mean,
like
a little
that,
bit.
Not later. Later 1-1 definitely does, but by episode 2, like not really.
Yeah, I mean, but that's just sort of 1-1 being like a sort of goofy comic relief all the time.
Yeah, but I feel like I don't know.
But yeah, I think we need a redo on episode 2.
Yeah.
Try that again. I didn't like it got what it was very practical. It got what it needed to do done. Tulip and 1-1, they're friends now. They're really good friends now. Got it. Could have been done better. Episode, I don't know, 6 or 7, the cat car. Tulip needs to be quiet. Just don't be so explanatory about your trauma. That's fine. We could have just watched it. It looked good. Other than that, I think it was pretty good. I think it was a pretty great show. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, episode 2, actually, man. That was actually one of the worst episodes.
It was probably one of the worst episodes, yeah.
Because they've got that thing with 1-1, but they also have, like I mentioned it earlier, they have that thing with the cat where it's like, the cat really doesn't, like, from Tulip's perspective, the cat isn't even being that underhanded. Yeah. Like, she's just like, she says, like, oh, I'll go, if you want to give me this robot that you don't even care about and that is annoying, I'll go talk to the conductor for you. And then she's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then and then later she decides, no, that was wrong for some reason.
I mean, the cat didn't do anything bad at that point. It was just like...
The one thing you could say about the cat is she did, like, try to scam that water guy, I guess, with the donut holder. But I mean...
Randall.
But I mean, yeah, Randall, the sentient blob of water.
Who, divides himself up and is like, oh,
yeah.
hey, I need a business partner on this.
but I don't think we can really count scamming this Randall as a moral failure when Randall literally splits himself and then scams himself. So I don't really know if that really counts. So I guess my final thoughts on it. Like you said, there are a few niggling issues. I overall enjoyed the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like I watched it from beginning to end in one sitting, so
Yeah.
That's saying something.
Didn't get bored.
Exactly. Yeah.
That kept your attention.
Exactly. That's really saying something, because usually I would just be like, if I don't like something, it would take a lot of effort for me to go and watch it. Like when I was watching Star Wars: The Force of Evil, I would watch one episode and I'd just be like, oh god, I need to take a break. Man, that hurt my head. And I would have to watch it over the course of a whole week, one episode a day or 2 episodes a day or something. It was just just swallowed it all up and it was good.
Yeah, it was good.
It tasted sweet going all the way down. And but yeah, looking back and watching it, I had those same problems you had and a few others. And it felt like those problems that I had brought it down.
I agree. I don't think they brought them down as much as you think they did, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that's where opinions differ. It's just how much we weight.
Like I said, I would probably give it a 6 out of 10.
I'd say it's a pretty dang good show. You should watch it.
Yeah, I'd definitely recommend you watch it.
It's fun time.
It's a good time.
If you liked Over the Garden Wall, give it a try. It's the same sort of format, 10 episodes. I mean, that's really the only good comparison between them. I don't know why when you think about it.
Yeah, they don't really actually have that much in common. Well, yeah. I mean, kind of. They both have, main character has some kind of problem and they go on a journey to solve the problem. And once they solve the problem, they can leave.
I think on that point, you could, I don't know, you could add a whole lot of shows.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the hero's journey at that point.
You could add a whole lot of works of fiction into that category.
But yeah, Cartoon Network should make more miniseries.
Yeah, they should. They should make more good things. Agreed.
Exactly. Well, I mean, miniseries don't necessarily have to be good. Yeah. You could easily make a bad miniseries, but the reason why I think these miniseries are good is because they're not trying to milk this thing so hard.
Definitely.
Because they're Cartoon Network, their company. They're looking for the next Adventure Time. They're looking for the next SpongeBob. They're looking for the next Teen Titans Go. They're looking for something that they can run endlessly in reruns and merchandise until its balls fall off.
Yeah, but then also they throw their money into this project, so that's cool.
But exactly, maybe if they can use all the money they get from Teen Titans Go and put it in, and then fund these things on the side, then it's it's all good. Everybody's happy.
Although they do want to do a sequel, so
they do want to do a sequel too. But you know what? As long as the original creators are involved and they aren't being forced to serialize this against their will, I would say that it's worth giving a shot at least. Yeah. It's worth for the creators to give a shot to make a second season or whatever, and also worth it for you to give this show a shot.
Yeah, I think
as long as you aren't being compelled against your will.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
That's about all I think.
We should talk about Over the Garden Wall sometime.
We should. We should do a rewatch of that.
That's a good show.
It's a really good show.
Makes me happy.
We'll have a marathon of that sometime.
We'll have to continue our long belated Adventure Time rewatch at some point.
Oh yeah, we'll do that as well.
On hiatus due to scheduling.
Yes, very sad days.
Yep.
We could always, just agree to watch the episodes separately.
True.
And then do the podcast.
But it was much more fun watching them together.
Yeah, I think it's a different experience watching them together than
more fun
watching them separately.
Although, anyway. I think we need to wrap this up. We've gone a little off course.
We've certainly meandered our fair share.
We've took our journey on the train of infinity, and this is where we're getting off.
Yeah, much like a train that has been derailed. We are infinitely crashing in slow motion.
And now the crash is over. We've bladed this metaphor. Thank you all for listening, and have a good night.
Stay bespoke, everybody. That's our new catchphrase.
So bad.